Welcome back to Las Vegas. It's Alex Belfield talking to the stars of the Strip and Car. Well, it's probably the best show in the world. Yorg and Spencer are the two big stars. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Still alive.
Which is a miracle, really, after this show, because you do end up falling off things and being thrown under things and things moving above you and below you. There's a lot to go wrong.
No, not at all. Never, ever. It's the safest playground we have in the world. But yes, saying still alive means more about the story track. Like, I mean, my wonderful, brilliant, genius son is inventing this magic powder that is even more powerful than black powder ever was. So he grinds human skulls and bones and the mineral he finds in the volcano together and grinds it together, and it explodes, and he gets blinded because he's not quick enough to take his hands off.
Spencer, I was watching the crowd tonight, and I've seen this, I don't know, 5 or 6 times over the years, and I see something new every time, and I learn something every time. Do you think the first time people come in, they actually realise what the story's about?
I think in the beginning it's a little bit difficult to grasp because there's so much going on, and there's so much spectacle, and there's so much action, and it might be a little bit difficult to grasp in the beginning, but that's sort of where Yorg and I and the twins and everyone else come in to try to make it as clear and precise as possible. And at the end of the day, hopefully they'll enjoy it, if nothing else.
I suppose, Yorg, the rule of show business is you don't pull focus, but Cirque's whole job is to distract you in 500 different ways, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
Well, they try and distract you in so many different ways, don't they? With one bit of scenery here and somebody doing something else there.
Well, this is the thing. It is an action movie, and I think in Vegas, in a space like Vegas, you have to roll on different levels. You have to... I mean, the Shakespearean actors knew it at the time already. They were catching imaginary flies for the kids, and they were telling the most profound background for all the others around at the same time. And I think this is how Vegas is rolling. Some people say, I love your shoes, and that's enough for them to pay $189 for 1.5 hours. So, well, I'm fine with that. If the shoes help to tell a good story and to have a big forum and to tell the story about the choice of mankind to decide if you use our main element, the fire, for cooking a nice dinner and making somebody fall in love with you, or throwing a big bomb, and if they get that, which is actually somehow written in the program book as well, that's fine, you know. So and it takes a lot. I mean, every mother knows it. To cook a good meal for children is a tricky thing. You have to get them satisfied. You have to nourish them. You have to get the kids grow up. You have to be a little bit in fashion with the style of how you cut your little radish and everything, and you have to make it taste well, you know. So, and I think that's the recipe, and I think this is maybe one thing what Cirque is doing as well. So there's a lot, and there is a little bit for everybody, no matter how deep you go into it.
And there's no question this is the biggest show in the world. I've not seen anything bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything bigger. When I first got here, I was blown away by how big it is. I mean, there's no like stages that move. I mean, they try to do some of that stuff elsewhere, but it doesn't seem to be really catching on as well as it catches on here.
Well, you've got to have a big budget, because basically they've got 2 massive, big, huge, whopping, great big stages that move. They come, they go up, down, left, right, and then other stages that come in and go as well. I mean, it's technically probably the most complicated show in the world, and very expensive.
Yes. Very, very expensive show to put on every night. I don't know too much about maybe Yorg knows about the running cost, but I mean, just the pyro alone is something completely ridiculous, because it's a special type of pyro. It needs to be able to be shot off inside with a live audience, which is basically unheard of. So it's a it's a very expensive.
So the thing is, I think the whole preparation was about 4 years for the whole thing, just the planning and the imagination of it, and just the creation was $160 million. And as far as I remember, we've been told at that time that that was in the same year when we opened, or when we started a car, that was the budget what was paid on Broadway the same year for 12 productions. So just to have a kind of a measurement. I mean, well, maybe we should have a wooden floor and
I mean, it's a good point you make. The average Broadway musical is about £5 million, $7 million. I mean, there's nothing to compare to it. And it moves along. With most musicals or shows like that, there's probably 2 or 3 scenes that are quite boring just to fill it to the 2.5 hours. With this, it goes from one incredible scene to the next, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. The cost thing, yeah, is a crazy thing. A lot of things have been invented for us. You know, like technical things never happened before, and it's still. I mean, I was hired for the show 7 years ago in Germany, and still we are changing, and still we develop things like tiny little bits and pieces to make things better, to make it. No matter if it's a prop or is it a costume, or the latest thing is a tiny little trick when the chief archer gets caught, somebody bangs him a spear on the head. Why not? You know, so there's the latest prop is there to have a spear that falls into, that you don't break a spear every day. The head is okay, but the cost for the spears, you know.
And again, the great thing about Cirque du Soleil is anything's possible. You can sit here and come up with the most expensive, ridiculous thing in the world, and they will get it on stage.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been one of the most amazing things about working with this company, is just the amount of resource they have, and how they're literally able to imagine something and then it's created. It's in creation, you know?
It's the epitome of kind of speculate to accumulate, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, another thing what I hear is, as well, is this thing is considered for several years. So it's considered for, I think, 10 or 15 years. And so the things you build here excuse me, need to last.
And as well as the story, as well as the acting, as well as the dancing, there's the music. And of course, that's the backdrop to this whole thing. Yeah. And it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking this the other night. I was walking with one of the singers, and it's incredible because even though you don't see them on stage for most of the show, I mean, you'll catch glimpses of them at the end and in Forest and in the pageant. It's just incredible that it's actually being done live the entire time. There's one part where I'm watching the baton solo, and I I just catch the slice, like the smallest voice, and I remember that there's someone in the basement right now singing that, which is it's unbelievable to me. I mean, it needs to be done that way, you know.
And again, do you think the audience realise there is a live band and real singers, because you can't see them?
I mean, I hope they do. I mean, I really hope they do, because it's absolutely incredible and some of the best talent in the show.
Why you sat here? I mean, everybody must want this gig. It's the biggest show in the world, twice a night, 5 days, 6 days a week. Why do you think they picked you?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, combination, I mean, anything with theater and spectacle and circus. I mean, they're trying to find someone who can communicate and who has a lot of heart, and I hope that I have the ability to spread that to the audience every night and to open myself up.
And of course, with you, Yorg, your character, you get to open the show and steal the show in a way, because you're kind of telling the story. Is your greatest discipline the ability to do it 10 times a week? Because it's a hard slog, isn't it?
Yes. I found out. Well, basically, I'm a trained mime, so you're used to create everything in a kind of a pose. You create the imaginary props, you create imaginary dialogue partners, everything, if you work as a mime. So you learn that you cannot waste any movement without telling anything. So what I do is, from this training, from this background, I try to invent a possible Asian theater performing vocabulary that allows me to merge into the style of the show. And it's all invented. It's like that. But I found a way to be very economic in my movements. And that is what helps me a lot. And you can call it, it's like you remember how it feels in your body to do this and that and that and that, and then you orientate as you go how it feels. That means I don't have to create the Strasbourg version of remembering the death of my grandmother every 5 minutes to get in the right mood or something to do this. I know how it looks, and I know how I want to look to transport the image of the drama or the envy or the greediness of this character.
And of course, a good joke, like a good show, you remember the punchline, and I remember bits as I watch it, but it's still terrifying. I mean, the heights to which some of these guys fall is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of thankful I don't have to do that every night. I just, in the beginning, I came in and I had never done, I was like, I just came out of college and I was working in very tiny black box theaters. And I mean, that was pretty much the extent of the work that I had done. And then I got here and I saw the battlefield scene and I started having to do some airbag training and some like stunt work, and that was a little bit terrifying in the beginning. But I mean, it is set up to be, it is one of the most what do they say? It's the most aggressive work environments, but they make it as safe as it can be. So you push yourself, but you know your limits, and everyone else knows your limits.
And again, this isn't a show really where you can phone it in. You've got to give it 100%, or it just wouldn't work.
Well, I think anybody should have on stage have the responsibility to do that, because you don't mess around with audiences and you don't mess around with theater. Very simple.
Simple as that. Guys, congratulations. I never get bored of seeing this show. It is the most spectacular show in the world. It is the biggest show in the world, and probably the most expensive as well. And the talent in it, well, it speaks for itself. I suppose they can get anyone, because who's going to say no?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is all the more greater compliment for you two being in it. Any chance of you going, or is this your job for life? Because, I mean, where are you going to go from here?
Oh, well, anywhere else. But right now, I have a story to tell here, and I have a forum, and I have a message, and that message is on my line, and I'm not getting tired of telling it.
Is it still thrilling every day when the curtain goes up? I know there isn't a curtain; it actually comes down. But is it still exciting?
Yeah, of course. I mean, what you got live people there. You're like looking people in the eyes. You're vertical on a wall. You're doing everything that you really shouldn't be doing. So it's always exciting.
I noticed today there was a lot of Japanese and Chinese people in, and just the look on their face. Of course, you don't need to be of any particular nationality because the show speaks its own language. You don't need to know English, for example, to come in and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the show. I mean, is like the non-verbal aspect of it, how the story can go across every single culture, and how, I mean, as Yorg was saying before about how there will be moments in the show that are just so tiny for such a huge arena, but Yorg and I will come off stage and discuss them like just as small as like a look and talk about how that felt. Or, I mean, there's constant tweaking in it, and I hope that people can appreciate and see it.
Congratulations, Yorg Lemke. Brilliant performance, and again, brilliant show. There's no better way of recommending it than come and see it. I mean, you can't describe it, can you? You can't do it justice.
No.
Simple as that. And thanks as well to Spencer Novick. Really nice to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant.